Good morning, all. Happy Sunday. I wanted to share with you another song this week, inspired from the passage of Isaiah 11. Really meaningful passage to me and has been actually to this congregation as well, so I wanted to share it. I'll read the passage first, kind of explain a few highlights for me, share the song lyrics, and then we'll play the song for you as well. Isaiah chapter 11 is part of a series of passages in the book of Isaiah that are envisioned as the mountain of God passages, kind of return passages from exile and into the land of healing and restoration. And in Isaiah and even beyond, they have this first level of meaning and inspiration, which has to do with like return from exile, kind of envisioning the good life, if you will, with a Davidic king back in place and all the ancient foes kind of vanquished at the hand of a reunited kingdom. That's like the theme. And then there's peace and harmony. And it's that last theme, that of restoration, of hope, of healing, of peace, of no harm being done. That theme really gets picked up on in the New Testament in some pretty profound ways and carries us through much of our, gets developed into much of what we really believe as Christians with the coming of Jesus and looking forward to in Revelation where the kingdom of Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem sort of comes down and is united with heaven and earth become sort of one entity. And I think that, Isaiah 11 is sort of wrapped up in all of those hopes and expectations as well. Here in verse 1, I'll just read it for you. It says, "A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of power, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes or decide by what he hears with his ears, but with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist." What's kind of coming up here in the imagery is, Jesse was the father of David. So when it says a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, what I imagine is that as the people, as Israel and Judah, the northern and southern kingdoms have been divided, Israel has already gone into exile at this point. That what's being envisioned here is that the whole affair of the United Kingdom has just been destroyed. It's been cut down like a tree that once stood strong that has been chopped, and now all that's left is a stump. And so there's like a bit of sadness in that image, but here the hope is renewed. There's like something hope is being rekindled in that here we see a shoot, new life coming up from the stump of Jesse. From the roots, a branch is coming that's going to bear fruit. And so it might say, what this is really saying is, it might look dark, it might look like it's all lost, it's all, forlorn and despair, and yet in the place of death comes the life. This is a narrative that I feel like I repeat every week, but I'm just trying to read what's here. And it reminds me how often the theme of from death to life appears in our scriptures from start to finish. And so what's envisioned here is that, that from the stump of Jesse, from the root of kind of like their ideal king, David, is going to come yet another. This is messianic language. And that the Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. So they've had a whole train of this by this time of really nasty leaders who have failed to follow the word of the Lord, who have shunned the prophets, who have killed the prophets and tried to silence them when they speak about justice for the poor and dealing righteously, keeping the Sabbath, all of the things. And they've silenced the Spirit of the Lord. But here what we see is that there is a day coming where a new David, in essence, will rise up, a new king, a new leader for the people of Israel. And in this case, he will have the Spirit on him in understanding, wisdom, counsel, power, and the fear of the Lord. That it wouldn't just be a leader that comes to serve himself, but really in awe and reverence of God Almighty. This king, this envisioned king, will do his job in the light of the Lord. And as a result, he's not going to judge just by whatever he feels like. It's not going to be judgments that benefit him or the people that are like tapping on his shoulder. No, he will judge with justice and with righteousness. And particularly, it says here, he will do this for the poor of the earth, because really, who are the ones that so often get stomped on in the midst of unjust rulers, because they don't have much to benefit those rulers? And so here we see that this is the kind of kingdom that will be fashioned according to the principles of the Word of God, that all people have a right to justice and all are equal under God's law. And this shoot, this branch that bears fruit, is envisioned as one with wearing righteousness as his belt and faithfulness as his sash. And if you look ahead to like Ephesians, to the image of the where Paul writes about the armor of God, it kind of has some of its roots here in Isaiah. Another passage in Isaiah 59, you see Yahweh, like the God of the universe, just grabbing his weapons and his shield and jumping into battle because he recognized that there is no justice on the earth and he cannot abide it any longer, and he will come and make justice himself. And so God's heart for justice, his heart for rightness, his heart for equality, his heart that all are equal and taken care of, is throughout our scriptures, and is enough to motivate God to like don his weapons and his armor and fight for the least of these. And this king is envisioned in the same way. And what is the result of that? This beautiful poetic language, that the wolf will live with the lamb. We often talk about it as the lion and the lamb, but the wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. All these animals, they should not be together. They should be devouring one another. The child should, not be able to step in and bring any kind of order to these animals, but instead there is such peace and harmony between all creation that even a little child is able to lead around the wolf and the leopard and the lion. The cow will feed with the bear, their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the hole of the cobra, and the young child put his hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And so this vision really is in getting right this messianic figure. As I think as Christians, we look forward and we say, yeah, Jesus. But as they're looking forward to the Messiah to come, they recognize that when the Messiah comes that leads in truth and righteousness and in justice, it will lead to the recreation of all of the world that we live in. This is counterintuitive to this. Today I'm not going to run out and play with cobras or vipers, and I'm certainly not going to send my children to do that because we still live in a world where there is harm, but this is liminal space. We are in between the times, because it's like the Messiah has come, the root of Jesse, the branch coming up from that stump has come, and he has led in the Spirit with wisdom and understanding and counsel and power and the fear of the Lord, and he's calling us to walk with him in that way. And what I see here is that we are looking forward to a day where there is no harm. But when we look forward, what we are looking forward to also needs to inform where we are living today. And so as I read these verses and it says, they will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain. Well, that's telling me God cares that we don't harm one another. He cares that we don't destroy. He cares that there is peace and reconciliation between enemies, that people are able to move forward together without killing each other at a base level, but even deeper than that. That all people, regardless of status, are able to come together and be united and live together in peace. And it's seen as the knowledge of the Lord filling the earth as the waters cover the sea. To step into the depths of the knowledge of the Lord leads us to a place where we ourselves are the word in my mind is sanctified, really, where we are in a process of becoming made holy, being conformed to his image. And so as we move today, live and move and have our being, may we do that in the light of the Lord, the knowledge of the Lord that reminds us what is his goal. It is that we not harm. And so as we have to make decisions, as we discern, may this be one of the criteria that we use is do no harm. It reminds me of like the medical profession, right? I mean, it's complicated, right? There's not simple answers sometimes on what harm is. And we see that when the Messiah comes, it's not just all nicey nice stuff. I mean, it says here that he will with the breath of his lips, he will slay the wicked, and he will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. Well, I think that's his word coming forward. That is like the truth of God coming forward from his lips, and it's supposed to slay the wicked. And so we have to be truth tellers. We can't pretend things are fine when they're not fine. That's how abuse continues. And so what I'm not saying by do no harm is don't ever make people uncomfortable. Yeah, you're going to make people uncomfortable sometimes. That's part of bearing with one another, of letting God's truth go forth and letting his ways take root. And sometimes we need to get stuff out of our lives. Sometimes we've got to work work acts of justice and repentance. Like I think about Zacchaeus, who had to give half of his possessions away to the poor because he had actually wronged people. And this is the vision, I think, that we find ways to speak the truth, even to have tough conversations, to put our foot down sometimes and stand firm and say no more abuse, no more taking advantage, but at the same time, like, let's find a way to heal the old what do you call it? Like conflicts, old anger, old stuff, and like let's find a way to move beyond it, because that's what really happens here in this image, where what comes after this in verse 12, that the root of Jesse, this Messiah, will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. And it's like the image of the exiles returning. And Ephraim's jealousy will vanish, and Judah's enemies will be cut off. Ephraim will not be jealous of Judah, nor Judah hostile toward Ephraim. Well, this is kind of, Ephraim is like a stand-in for the people of Israel, the northern kingdom. And there actually was jealousy and hostility between the north and the south. That's why they divided. That's how we ended up with, two separate kingdoms. But this old conflict is envisioned as being healed. And then they work together to vanquish old foes, the Philistines and the Moabites and others. And then the result of all that is it says, in that day, this is moving into chapter 12, in that day you will say, I will praise you, O Lord. Although you were angry with me, your anger has turned away, and you have comforted me. Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. In that day you will say, give thanks to the Lord, call on his name, make known among the nations what he has done, and proclaim that his name is exalted. Sing to the Lord, for he has done glorious things. Let this be known to all the world. Shout aloud and sing for joy, people of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel among you. It's restoration and it's comfort. Those the words that I find here are comfort, not being afraid, drawing from the wells of salvation, giving thanks, for he has come near. One of the images that comes to mind is a Quaker painting by Edward Hicks, and it's called The Peaceable Kingdom, and it's a rendering of this passage. What I love about it is in the foreground, you have all of the animals that should be killing one another, peacefully resting, and children playing, and it's this image. But that's in the foreground. But in the background, you see something remarkable. You see Native Americans and settlers making a treaty. And see, Quakers actually had a history of keeping their word, generally speaking. There were always failures along the way, but on the whole, Quakers were unique in many of the ways that they dealt with their Native American neighbors. And they were working towards peace, towards treaties that would make sense, that would deal fairly, that weren't just about grabbing and stealing and taking what they could and taking advantage. They wanted to find unity. And so what Edward Hicks was expressing with this painting was that the reason that they as Quakers cared that they dealt justly and rightly and peaceably with their Native American neighbors was because God's vision for all of creation was to live at peace. And may that be our vision today as well. May we approach each day with that kind of mindset, that center to us, that we desire to do no harm to any part of God's creation, animal or human or otherwise, whether they're like us or different from us, and whether the conflicts have been going on for a long time. May we have a heart of justice and mercy inside of us that desires to do no harm. And that's the song that I wrote, and it's called There Will Be No Harm, based on Isaiah 11. I'm probably not going to read all of this. I'm recognizing the video is getting a little long. I'm going to put the lyrics in the description to this video so you can read them. But the chorus is really what moves me most in this song. It says, things long dead will spring up with life anew. With justice, he'll safeguard the needy ones, while the lambs and yearlings lie down with wolves, and young kids play games near the viper's nest. Because there'll be no harm. Why is all of that happening? Because there will be no harm when we dwell on the mountain of the Lord, in God's presence in his city. And the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord, and his righteousness will last. Sing praise. Sing praise today, friends, and be well and do no harm.
Oh, a shoot will spring up from the stump of Jesse, as a branch bearing fruit and giving us life. Oh, a shoot will spring up from the stump of Jesse, as a branch bearing fruit and giving us life. nations unto himself. On that glorious day he'll stand the root of Jesse, as a banner calling the nations